Hi everybody, I'm Harry McCracken, Global Technology Editor for FastCo. I'm here at the Las Vegas Convention Center in the Stagwell Content Studio to talk with Daniel Diez, who is the CMO of Magic Leap.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, Harry.
I went by your booth this morning and I saw a pretty large group of intrigued looking attendees there, which seemed like a good sign.
Yes.
But how's your CES been going so far?
It's been phenomenal. I think we've had really a great reception to our experience here. Lots of folks wanted to get that headset on there and take a look at that content for the first time. So it's been great so far.
I imagine that the percentage of people in the world who are interested who have actually tried your product is still relatively low.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, we're a small company and we do go to a bunch of shows, but this is our biggest activation yet, and I think probably the place where we'll have the most demos ever.
So your current version is Magic Leap 2.
That's right.
The first big iteration after your original one. Talk to us about what's new and,
Sure.
and particularly kind of what use case scenarios you're targeting with this one.
So Magic Leap 2 is our second generation device. It is purpose-built for enterprise. It's really where the company has pivoted all of its attention. It is it's built to overcome a lot of the barriers to adoption for AR in the enterprise. So normally you see big, heavy, bulky headsets. Image quality is not so great. Text legibility is kind of poor. You see not a long battery life. All those things were addressed with Magic Leap 2. Massive field of view, really crisp text, really good color, really solid images, and then dynamic dimming, which is the thing we brought out in the Magic Leap 2, which allows you to darken the background behind AR content so it becomes really solid and much more clear, even in really brightly lit settings, which is a big problem.
And I know that you're not just focused on enterprise, you've chosen some specific applications that
Right.
you really want to put most of your weight behind. Which ones are those?
So we're really focused on three. Of course, there's lots of people developing for Magic Leap outside of those, but there are three in particular that we're after because they're ready to invest in AR, and there's an immediate ROI for them. So that's manufacturing, it's healthcare, and then the public sector. And those are the three. So manufacturing, a lot of it has to do with work instructions and retaining a lot of the knowledge that is being lost by retiring employees. If you ask manufacturers today what the biggest problem they're facing, it's not an impending recession, it's not supply chain, it's not shipping, it's not inflation, it's employees and retention of them and recruiting new ones. So we've been able to create an incredible experience with a partner called Tactile, getting all that information from retiring employees, making it into a training program in AR and getting their new employees trained at an 80% reduction in time. So a lot faster onto the line, and then actually a lot of reduction in waste in the manufacturing process. And so when you think about more onshoring of manufacturing into the United States and wanting to reduce the cost involved in that, this is an incredible solution to do that. Healthcare, it's all about 3D imaging, surgical planning, and now, because we're 60601 compliant and certified, you can take it into the operating room, and we're seeing more and more solutions that are actually interventional solutions using Magic Leap as a visual guide. And then a lot of it is training in the public sector space. First responder training, first person shooter training, disaster response training.
And it sounds like, at least in some cases, companies are doing this because they can see some immediate ROI rather than just doing it because it feels like the future.
You know, it's always felt like it's 5 years away. I think we finally hit that moment where there's immediate return on investment for folks, where there's the right solution, the right time, with the right company. And we're seeing that more and more today. It's great.
And even though there's a lot of talk about kind of consumer use of AR and VR, like a lot of things, like enterprises are able to sort of launch it quickly and find value in it, and they're happy to pay for it if it actually is valuable.
That's right. I think the consumer side of things is interesting. We know that there are folks who are developing consumer applications on Magic Leap 2 just because of how immersive the device is. But in all honesty, I think that content ecosystem has a long way to go. And the form factor probably has a bit of ways to go before it really becomes a consumer device.
Will you add additional enterprise applications over time?
Absolutely, we're getting them all the time. I think for the entire industry, content is now the biggest hurdle to cross, right? So we have the amazing devices. Now it's all about the content ecosystem developing so that we can deliver more and more value to those enterprises.
And when companies work with you, are they I mean, do they need to like invest a huge amount of time and money in custom experiences, or is it off the shelf or somewhere in between?
It's both. Yes, yes is the answer. So some of them want an ISV solution that works, perfectly well for them. So the manufacturing example I gave you is an off-the-shelf ISV solution. Some of them want to customize those, and they work directly with the ISVs to do that. And then some of them are doing fully custom builds all on their own or with their own development teams or development partners. So all three are possible. We've created a really developer-friendly environment, lots and lots of tools. We're cloud agnostic. We support OpenXR. So it's really meant to be as friendly as possible for developers.
Do you have any guesses as to how long it will be until this sort of stuff does not feel magical or futuristic, but is just sort of part of the humdrum way that businesses get stuff done and it's completely normal?
I would imagine it's happening more and more now, but in the next few years, I think it's going to become more and more of a regular tool for work. I mean, we think about Magic Leap as a tool for work, and I think it'll become something that becomes pretty routine, especially in areas like manufacturing and healthcare.
One of the buzzwords here at CES this year is the metaverse.
Oh, yes.
And it's early enough that everybody gets to define the metaverse the way they want to, but do you see what you're doing as falling under that general umbrella, or is it different, especially since you've focused your direction a little bit?
Yeah, I think metaverse is perhaps suffering a bit from its own hype, and you're right. I think everybody's defining it in the way that best suits them. Magic Leap isn't building the metaverse. I think we're a really incredible tool and window into that metaverse, and it gives you great ability to manipulate and view that content. But I think what we're all looking for is that moment when we can truly merge, physical world with digital content, and that's the true promise of the metaverse. I think that's something that really AR will deliver on more so than VR, and I think it's happening. I think it'll happen at a slower pace, but it's right now with devices like ours and others, you can experience those digital twins and those moments of metaverse-like experiences, especially with an enterprise. But it'll continue to grow. But there's lots that has to happen there. There's lots of compute that has to be offloaded to the cloud, a lot more edge computing. 5G is going to become a major component of this. And those things are all, infrastructure is being built right now. But in the next few years, I think we're going to see more and more of it.
As you mentioned, with your second generation product, you've made some headway in image quality and the general pleasantness of wearing this. How much opportunity is there moving forward over the next few years to continue to tackle that, and to the point in which nobody will not do this because they don't want to put this thing on their head and wear it?
Sure. I mean, shrinking it down, of course, is a huge goal. So wanting to make it more powerful and wanting to make it smaller are two things that we're very much focused on. I think it's going to take further silicon integration, better battery, reduction of components and the number of them inside that device. All those things are necessary, but it is absolutely on our roadmap. We already have eyes on another doubling of the field of view, which I think is really important to really give that sense of true immersion. But it is definitely on our roadmap, and as we begin to approach that moment when consumer makes more sense, it'll be the form factor and content ecosystem that meet at the right moment in time to make that happen.
Any other predictions or expectations about the general category you're playing in over the next few years?
I think what we're going to see, where a lot of progress is going to be made, is on the content side. I think that is the true key to unlocking adoption. I think we've done an incredible job on hardware. Now it's really about software and solutions that are really going to propel the next sort of wave of adoption of this, and that we're excited to be a part of that.
So like everything else in tech history, pretty much, it's kind of about the killer apps.
It's going to be about the killer apps. We're starting to create our own first-party applications so that we can demonstrate to both our enterprise customers and developers what's truly possible with these devices, and we'll continue to do that. We have some in our booth here. We have an incredible remote assistance application and a command control application that allows you to monitor multiple sites and get incredible amounts of data. I think as we move forward, we'll launch more and more of those to demonstrate just what's possible, and then it'll hopefully spur the content ecosystem further.
Daniel, thank you so much for joining us.
Harry, thank you for having me.
I hope the rest of your CES is productive.
Thank you, you too.
And thank you, everybody.